Hi, I'm Melinda Van Fleet, and welcome to the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. I'm an author, speaker, and success coach who helps women believe in themselves, build confidence, and take action. In 2009, my husband Ryan and I were laid off at the same time, and we moved to the Florida Keys without jobs, not knowing anyone, hardly any money, and we never even been here. But we made it. And now, not every day is sunshine and rainbows, but we're living our best lives. All along in our journey, I've always said that someday when we get our shit together, we will help others. So each week, my intent is to be relatable and bring you tactical tips, tools, share my learnings and stories that can help inspire or transform you wherever you are in your career or general life and make an impact. I strongly believe that if I can do it, you can do it too. So what's stopping you? Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Good Karma Success Coach podcast. Thank you in advance for joining me. This week, it's kind of funny how things come together. This week, I want to talk about positive energy and how people can feel that even across a Zoom call. Yep, even across a Zoom call. And this topic came to me last week. And it's funny how things percolate and all these other little signals kind of keep coming to me. And even this morning in my aerial yoga class with Glenda, her closing little thought, a prayer that she does, I guess you could say it's more like, just a little saying, also was in line with this thought process. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to record this podcast. What do I mean by positive energy and how people can feel things even across Zoom? I'm just going to be really direct and straight up. How are you being when you are having a conversation with someone? Are you being calm and relaxed? Or are you being hurried, rushed, running around, looking at the clock? Oh my gosh, we got to go. Time's up. Because people can see the difference. They can feel the difference. And even if someone doesn't recognize that at the conscious level, it's likely that they're recognizing that at the subconscious level or like internally. And often that energy is what ends up creating a situation in terms of if someone's going to end up buying from you, like if you're a coach, or even continuing to be your friend, as simple as that. Like I get off the phone with her and I feel so good. Or I get off the phone with her and I feel like, oh my God, my heart's palpitating and I have to go outside for a walk, right? And that is real, especially nowadays when people are trying to figure things out, trying to manage their day, maybe have some time management challenges that they're dealing with, anything in relation to their families. Heck, I have 3 little dogs and sometimes they're crying and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I got to get off the phone to take care of them, right? But I try really hard to be present and mindful and aware of that behavior because I can definitely have a tendency to do that. But I've really built an awareness around the whole concept. And again, I try to be mindful of that. What I have found to work, besides just awareness, and that takes practice, everyone. All these things take practice. All these things that all coaches talk about, they all take practice. Nothing just comes like immediately. You have to keep remembering and make them habits. So one thing that I noticed was that if I just go in to a phone call or situation with an intention that it's going to be just a half an hour, or maybe I feel like, this call could be like 45 minutes because I need to catch up with this person a little bit. We have a couple things to talk about. It's amazing to me how it ends up working out perfectly on that timeline. It's nuts. I actually went through it this week. I was like looking at my schedule like, okay, that person, I think that could be like a half an hour conversation. And sometimes too, not sometimes, but I'm going to say for the most part, I also do try to take into account their time that they're spending. How busy do I think they are knowing what their jobs are, if they have a small business, and try to kind of marry the two, right? So I'm very consciously aware of the other person's schedule and what their day may be like before I make a phone call. And that's just one example, is phone calls and Zoom calls. But think about how that can apply anywhere in your life, right? It can apply if you, this is one of mine, have to drop your dogs off at the vet. Yes, that is definitely one of mine. I'm always like, ugh, gotta have them in the car, and then they go in and I gotta call, and it's such a process. I think it's gotten better now. We'll see. I have to take Miracle in a couple weeks, but it can affect you on all those things. It can affect you at the grocery store. How are you when you go through the checkout line? How are you to the cashier, the associate? Are you hurried? Are you stressed out? Or are you pleasant and nice to that person? And unfortunately, that's also what's happening out there in retail, in restaurants, is that people are taking their frantic energy and putting that on someone else. So it's really important too to think about, I'm just sitting here right now thinking about it, if you're the other person, if you're on the receiving end, what do you do, right? What do you do? I think building awareness around the other person and giving them some grace is a way that you can protect your own energy and not take it personal. So there's a lot packed into that. And I want you to sit with it and think about it. This week I was at NABO, which is a women's business owners group. It's national, and I go to the South Florida chapter. I started going in September. It's a really great group, and I have to drive up to Fort Lauderdale every month for the meeting because we meet in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm totally fine with that. I used to be a road rep. I used to travel. Sometimes I have to go to Orlando for the day, which is a 5.5 hour drive. So driving somewhere for the day doesn't bother me, especially now it helps to get out of the house. So, except for the gas prices, not so fun. But anyhow, and so when I went up there, I had to take a moment because two different women, not even in the same conversation, said to me, "Oh, you're always so relaxed. Must be because you live in the Keys." And I didn't quite process that statement, because it didn't quite resonate. It took me off guard a little bit, let's say. So I just kind of smiled and probably chuckled and moved on. But when I thought about it on my 2-hour drive home, I was like, you know what? My relaxed state and my energy, which does fluctuate. Some days I'm a little more hurried than others. That's why I'm telling you to be aware. It has nothing to do with living in the Keys. Zero zip. It comes from my practice, my habits, my daily disciplines that I put into place. Nothing to do with the Keys. It's actually the opposite. Living here is actually not a relaxed, stressful environment if you're trying to work, if you're trying to make a living. Having good karma sport fishing with my husband, Ryan, is definitely not a relaxing experience. I don't wish it on anyone. It's really hard. It's really hard to have a sport fishing business. I give so much props to other captains because until you're in those shoes, you have no idea. There are so many challenges, more than any other business model I can think of. That's how many challenges there are on a daily basis. So it's not relaxing. We're not sitting around under the palm tree in a hammock sipping Mai Tais. It sounds great. I wish I was, but I'm really not. I've always got something going on. So my energetic state that people can obviously feel because they said that to me comes from practice, comes from taking a walk every morning and sometimes in the afternoon if I can sneak out of the house. It comes from going to yoga when I can, when I'm in town. It comes from meditating several times a day. It comes from prayer throughout the day. God help me with everything. It comes from reading books that are positive, that aren't jargon, that aren't just sucking up my time with stuff I already know and should be doing or am doing. It comes from just reading little mindful books and talking about that with my husband. It comes from doing things like that. And the biggest thing is from being aware. Breathing, taking a deep breath, and being aware. So there's a lot packed into this podcast, but I really hope that you take a moment, take a beat, and think about what kind of energy am I putting out there into the world? And again, it varies by situation, right? So the women at the dinner, at the NABO dinner, thought I was all relaxed, but someone at the vet might not think that. So I need to do a better job at the vet because it's not fair to them, or even my little dogs, because dogs can feel energy. And then if someone is putting their hurried energy onto me, I see myself as others, give them grace, take a deep breath, and just kind of move on. Because they may be trying to go through something too, and they may not have the tools to shift and pivot their energy. So they may just keep on going and being on autopilot. So if you have some comments or thoughts on this, I would love to hear from you. You're always welcome to email me at melinda@melindavanfleet.com. My Instagram is Melinda_Vanfleet. I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. But I hope this really helps someone out there, especially if you're someone that's struggling with someone else's energy. Just keep it in mind. Like, it's not about you. Give the other person grace and roll on with your day. And if you're one of those people that wishes to adjust your energy a little bit, look at your schedule. What can you eliminate and what can you add in that's more of a mindful practice to help you feel better? All right, that's it. So until next time, be grateful, be learning, always be curious, and you know what? Have some fun too. Thanks for listening.